Welcome to the Amazing Truth Podcast, a podcast where we focus on real issues and have real talk, and as always, provide a biblical perspective. We hope that you will be blessed as you listen.
Hello and welcome to the Amazing Truth Podcast. This is the Amazing Truth Minute.
This is the Amazing Truth Podcast. The Amazing Truth Podcast. Listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, and Stitcher. Like us on Facebook at the Amazing Truth Podcast. The Amazing Truth Podcast. Real issues, real talk.
For the Amazing Truth Minute today, we'll focus on Isaiah chapter 30, verse 18. It says, "The Lord will wait, that he may be gracious to you, and therefore he will be exalted, that he may have mercy on you. For the Lord is a God of justice. Blessed are all those who wait for him." You see, the book of Isaiah reveals that God's people disobeyed the Lord and sought refuge in Egypt. The plan was both rebellious and foolish because the Egyptians had once oppressed the Israelites, and thus, in seeking help from Egypt, they were forfeiting their freedom. Sadly, the people of Israel hadn't learned how to wait for the Lord. Instead, they habitually took matters into their own hands. And as a result, God disciplined his people to teach them the necessity of waiting for him, on him, but he did not leave them to languish in his discipline. The prophet Isaiah knew the Lord's character and that he longed to be gracious to his people. So when we don't get an answer from God as quickly as we'd like, we often make our own plans. But God instructs his people to wait on him. In doing so, we avoid his discipline and reap the benefits of our obedience. You see, waiting on God is far better than moving forward apart from him and suffering the consequences of our disobedience. And that is the Truth Minute.
This is the Amazing Truth Podcast. The Amazing Truth Podcast. Listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, and Stitcher. Like us on Facebook at the Amazing Truth Podcast. The Amazing Truth Podcast. Real issues, real talk.
All right. Kenan.
Yes, sir.
Here we are. Today I'm excited.
I am too.
Why are you excited?
I'm excited because
you can't be borrowing my excitement for yourself.
I'm excited because I get to see you again, Ezra.
You always see me.
And we get to do something that we love to do. So I'm excited. I don't want to break the ice on what we are working on, but I'm excited to be here, Ezra.
All right.
It's going to be a good episode today.
Listen, listeners, viewers. Today we have special guests. Listen, Kenan, we've had special guests.
Not one, but not two.
Not two. We have many guests in the building.
Yeah, I'm excited.
You know, recently we were challenged with someone and they said, "Hey, have you ever guys thought of doing a live?" And first of all, I didn't understand a live, how you go around that. But, you know, thank God that you're my sidekick here. You always know these things. So today we have some audience. We have KCC ambassadors.
Yep.
Listen, these are the young people from, you know, one of the churches here. And they're visiting with us. And I wish everybody could be able to see them. They're amazing. Now, you know, due to respect.
Yeah, privacy, man.
Yeah, I know. So not all of them are going to be, you know, on the shot, but we have many who are seated here, and we want to engage. We want to interact.
And you know, even though not all of them will be on audio, I think what we'll get from this content today, amazing.
What are you looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to going into the mind of young people. You know, I know I'm young. I am young.
Okay, I won't argue with you
young,
on that.
So getting into the minds.
I'm sure if I ask them, they're gonna be something else. Do you want me to confirm? But who has a mic? Is he young? Does he look young?
We'll edit that. Don't worry.
Marcy, go ahead. Do you think he's young? What is young? Define young.
Ezra, why are you putting her on the spot?
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway,
all
so
right.
The thing I'm saying is,
you guys think he's young?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, then I'm younger.
I'm not gonna ask about it.
Okay.
But anyway, I'm excited about you know, we talk about real issues, real talk, real stuff, stuff that we have, you know, love to do and love to help. But now hearing from perspective of young people, perspective of other audience, different from who we've brought on. I think that's what I'm most excited about.
Awesome.
Why are you excited about this episode?
First of all, I'm excited because they're my friends.
Yeah.
I'm excited. Probably should be careful not to get in trouble.
Yeah, and I think let me say something. Before we turn these mics on, we always have beautiful conversations. So what we've had before we turn these mics on was amazing. So I hope we can translate.
They celebrated. They had the thing we were doing here. The thing. You always clap, but it's all good.
And it's never about us.
It's never about us. It's about our guests. So KCC ambassadors, welcome to Amazing Truth Podcast. We are excited to have you all here. Yeah. The topic today is relationships. Oh. I know.
Wow.
I know.
That's heavy.
So I'm gonna start with you.
Ezra.
I'm gonna start with you. You guys, are you ready for this? Are you guys ready for this? Listen to this. How old were you when you got your first girlfriend? Jesus, are you ready for this? We can't ask them what we cannot answer.
I know.
Yes.
Ezra, I don't know. My kids will listen to this. I think it was after high school.
It was after high school. Yeah. That's a safe answer.
It was after
high school. How old were you when you had your first crush?
Man. I think I was 8 or 9.
You started these things early, man. You are a veteran. 8 or 9.
8 or 9. Somewhere
you probably didn't know how to spell your last name, but you had a crush.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's all good. It's all good.
Pause there, Ezra. Pause. Same question. How old were you when you had your first girlfriend?
Girlfriend. High school.
High school?
Yes.
After or during?
During high school.
Okay, Ezra.
During high school.
How about a crush?
A crush. The first one I can remember, I was in first grade. No.
So that's
I was in kindergarten. I was in kindergarten. I remember the name. I still remember the name. You don't ask me the name. She probably watched this podcast.
You're worse than me, man. You're 5 years old.
It's important that we put this in context because we're human beings and we have relationships.
Right.
You have relationship with your parents. You have relationship with your friends. We have relationships with each other and so forth. So I'm excited to hear about these young people here and talking about relationships. I'm gonna hand out this mic out to the audience and we're gonna start going around and I'm gonna ask the people who are live on audience. The first question I'm gonna ask to you guys is, when you think about relationship, what comes to mind? When you think about relationship, when you have the topic of relationship, go ahead, Paris. Love. So when you think about relationship, what comes to mind is love. All right. Somebody else. When you think about relationship, what comes to mind? Not a good thing. All right. I was thinking it's not a good thing. All right. Somebody else. What do you think? Somebody else. What do you think when you think about relationships, guys? Guys, make the mic so you can. Different sex. People of different sex. All right. So that's what comes to mind. All right. Somebody else. What comes to mind? Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah. Go ahead, Shaliz.
Oh, your connections with other people.
Your connections with other people. Do they have to be people within your family? I mean, are just broad generally in people?
It's broad.
In
general.
Broad. Okay. All right. Anybody else? When you think about relationships, I'm gonna flip that question. When your parents think about relationship, what do you think they think? Or adults?
Sex.
They think what? Sex. So when an adult thinks about relationship, you think they think sex. Somebody else?
Actually, time wasting.
Time wasting. So when you think about relationship, there's this notion like a time relationship is wasting. I mean, no, relationship is time wasting. All right. Somebody else, when you think about relationships?
Money.
You think relationships are costly? They cost money? All right. Commitment. There is time when it comes to commitment.
Time consuming.
Are you guys really believing these things you're saying? Or these are the things that you think? You believe it?
Emotional damage.
When you think about relationship, you think about you. But wait a second, man. When you think about what? Character development. When your relationship develops your character. Okay. So if you were to ask me a question about relationship, what would you ask me? Now I'm a different spectrum.
Would you recommend us to be in a relationship?
Would I recommend you to be in a relationship? Which type of relationships are we talking about?
Boyfriend, girlfriend.
Boyfriend, girlfriend.
The do's and don'ts.
The do's and don'ts when you're in a relationship. You can. Okay. Who else? Yes.
What are the signs of healthy relationship?
What are the signs of health? I mean, I need to. These are deep questions. Let me actually pull my pen and paper here and write. Kenan, are you listening to these questions? Because I will be asking you to answer half of them. All right. So question number 1. Okay.
So like, what's a good age to start, or like time?
What's a good age to start getting in a relationship? And in that case, I'm believing, boyfriend, girlfriend type of relationship. Okay, so what's the right age? What other question?
What do you think about family relationships?
What do I think about family relationships? My goodness.
Good thing we have a pastor here.
Yeah, good thing we have a therapist here. So, family relationships, age of dating. What signs of a healthy relationship? Signs of a healthy relationship. Do's and don'ts in a relationship.
What are signs that your relationship is getting too toxic that you need to remove yourself from?
Signs of a toxic relationship. Okay. I haven't heard from the guys. Brian, what question comes to mind? Oh, you got it. You got to think about it. So, Kenan.
Yes.
Hey. What do you think about family relationships? What is the right age of dating? The signs of a healthy relationship, the do's and don'ts in a relationship, and signs that you are in a toxic relationship. I don't know why we committed ourselves into this podcast.
We didn't think this through.
I know we should have prayed over it. No. Let's make a disclaimer here. We're just engaging. We're not saying we're experts in this. We're not saying that we understand this. But it's important for us just to have a healthy conversation. Create that safe space. Now, Kenan, how old, before we start answering those questions, how old were you when you first had someone sit you down and have a discussion about a healthy relationship?
You see, when we grew up in a very conservative family, and I think the age, I was after high school again. And at that time, I already had, you have high school, you have all this time. So I was not being the best kid, right?
I mean,
so then,
for the most part, but especially this part.
Yes, for the most.
Yes.
But anyway, so when I had faltered, or I had showed sign that I had a girlfriend, then my parents were caught off guard. Now they sat me down saying, there's this.
What did they say? They talk to these people. What did they say to you?
So what my parents told me was, you have to finish school first. You have college ahead of you.
Have you guys heard that?
Right?
You have to finish school first. Okay, I'm seeing them nodding.
Right? There's college ahead of you.
College ahead of
high
you.
school, so don't think you're a grown-up. And then the other thing they said was there's diseases. Right. Although they didn't offer a solution for that, they just said, abstain. Do not engage in any of that.
Say it, any of what? Even him is
sweating. Anyway, real talk,
right?
So my parents told me, don't have sex.
Did they say it straightforward, sex?
Oh yeah, they say don't have sex. Where you're headed is not a good thing. That is not a good place. So, and in my head, I'm thinking, what do they mean? Is it because of now looking back many years later, I'm thinking, is it because of the kids? I might get a kid. Is it because of disease? But they never said why. They didn't tell me that what you're going is not a good place. So that's what they said. So they said, we don't want to see you do this. And then that's when they sent me to India.
So they sent you to go study far away from them to India.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think the point I'm trying to say here is there really isn't an intentional conversations my parents had with me to tell me that this is right or this is wrong. They just said, cut it out. Don't do it.
Don't do it.
Same question, Ezra. I can't sweat by myself. Same questions. What?
I'm going to tell mine in form of a story. The same girlfriend I told you.
Yeah.
The one in high school.
Yes.
I've been a shy person when it comes to girls. So I was very shy. So this girl, nobody's ever sat me down about a relationship, and we're seated there, and this topic bubbles up. My friends are like, I have a girlfriend, and all that stuff. So they hook me up. I was helped. I need to have good friends. So I'm in this relationship. I was in church choir. This is my first encounter ever with my mother, with me in a relationship. So we finish choir. We leave 5 minutes early.
Okay.
And you got to be a gentleman, walk them home. My mom was not in choir that day. As soon as I made that corner, guess who I met?
The said girl.
My mom.
Oh, your mom. Oh.
And I'm with her. Now, my fear was not, my fear is my mom will skin me and kill me alive. So I took off, I ran, and I left the girl there. It is an embarrassing story. Please, gentlemen, don't leave the girls by themselves. I ran. Now I look back, I'm like, why was I running? What was I doing wrong? I wasn't in the midst of having sex. I wasn't kissing the girl. I wasn't in an awkward position. But now here I am, I see my parents. So that tells you the relationship that I had. So I'm going to come back to the young people and ask, have you had similar experiences growing up in your current state and generation? Can you have open conversation in their relationship with their parents about relationship? And what do they tell you? What do you hear? Maybe these are generational things we had.
Yeah.
Let's hear from the young people. What?
Yeah, because I think maybe their parents are more open to them, and I think with technology and advancement in science and all this, maybe they are more open. But let's hear from them. I mean, what are they saying?
What have you ever been told? It doesn't even
had?
to be a parent, like older folks, like somebody to share. Like, are you comfortable to bring a friend home and say, this is my boyfriend, this is my girlfriend, and how or your first experience? What do you think that turns out? How will that go if you did that, or if you have done that? How's that experience been? It starts like that. Or the father already gives a sign. Okay, somebody.
It's not allowed in my house.
It's not allowed in your house. Absolutely no. Zero. All right. Somebody else. Anybody ever wanted to reach out to someone and say, hey, and have that conversation, and how did that go? Or what do you fear? Maybe even your parents are not against it. What do you fear?
Me personally, my mom. So if I want to tell my mom, like, I'm talking to somebody, I had to bring it in like as a joke. You feel me? I had to be like, hey, mom, like, I'm talking to this person, and she'll be like, oh, really? No. I'll bring it as a joke. Then if I got to see how she takes it in. So if she takes it like no, that's bad, then I'd be like, yeah, she don't want that. But if she takes it like, oh, really? I know, where she leave? I'd be like, yeah, Then I'll actually get into it. I got to see her take, like, if she's feeling it first.
So you're feelers. You play safe first. All right. What about the rest? What are the tactics that you've developed over the few years? Anybody wants to risk their life?
There's no tactics.
There is no tactics. It's absolute. For me, at least. For you, at least.
I think at least in my family, and talking about, like, I guess extended family, I feel like for the guys, they've developed tactics, and I think it's more like easier. Whereas for the girls, it's like, no, unless you're marrying them, then there's no.
Do you think there's gender bias when it comes to relationship?
Definitely.
I see people. There's a lot of definitely, right? Please go ahead, expound a little bit on that.
I tried what Bodis just said. I told my mom as a joke. It was the truth, though. I took a girl to homecoming. I took photos with her, and I told my mom I was taking a girl. She got mad at me, and I told her I was just joking. And in all reality, I took the girl, and the photos came out, and someone showed my mom and my dad those photos. So yeah, that's it. But
so when my mom reacted a certain way, you were just, I'm not gonna keep on going the conversation.
And for the gender question, my mom has been a little bit laid back with me, but for my sisters, she told them boys before books brings babies.
So there's a gender bias there. All right. Yeah. Why do you think there's a gender bias?
It's a crazy world right now,
I mean, that's Brian speaking.
It's a crazy world we live in.
It is.
So I'm not a girl. I don't know how they feel about it, but me, if I was to have kids and I have both a son and a daughter, I will be protective over because I know how dudes are like. And I want to be.
You mean how you are like?
I'm not.
Do you know how dudes are?
I know how boys can be like. So I don't want my daughter to go through what everybody in right now can be going through.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
For me, I think it's because, for example, let's say a girl's in a relationship, she gets pregnant.
Okay.
It's very visible.
It's visible to the girl.
And it's just a whole life-changing thing.
All right. So you think because girls are the ones who get pregnant, they carry the pregnancy, then the stigma that comes with that, so parents don't want to go through that, or they don't want you to go through that. Go ahead, Tiffany.
I was gonna say, adding on to Ashley, I think it's like the damage, emotional damage. I don't know. Maybe I'm just biased myself. I feel like guys don't have to, like, if in the case of pregnancy, right? The guy can easily leave. She has to deal with it, or emotional damage, etc., etc. Like, yes, guys go through things, but I feel like for females, it's not to the extent of a female.
So then do you think there's justification for parents feeling like that when it comes to girls? I see people shaking their heads. So yeah, so you're
To an extent.
To an extent. You think sometimes it goes to an extreme?
Yes. It plays a part. Like, I get it.
But
at the same time, it's like,
chill out a little bit. Just let it a little. Let me be a young person. Let me enjoy being a young person a little bit. All right? Okay. So if you were to be in a relationship, who would you tell first? An adult? Because now clearly we're establishing that sometimes we might not.
I would tell my older cousins.
You'll tell your older cousins. Yeah. All right. So I'm seeing a lot of us nodding. You'll probably tell your older cousins, older, chilled, laid back uncles. No uncles. No uncles. No Uncle Kenan. They talk to you most? So you won't tell your aunts because they're likely going to tell your parents or something like that. Okay. It's very interesting that relationships are generational. Like, it doesn't matter what generation you are in, but it's the same fears. Borders here is saying that when he has kids and if he has girls, he's going to be more protective over the girls, right? It's almost a natural thing. Do you think girls, let me talk to the girls. Let me ask this question to the girls. Do you think you as girls, as young girls, if God was to bless you and you have your own children, will you say, because I know what it felt like being a girl and just my parents being overprotective, let me let my girls just be laid back a little bit?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely. Why does it change now? Okay, Tiffany says a little bit. All right. Vicky?
I think I would be a little lenient to an extent, but not as strict as my parents.
Okay.
And let me modify that question, though. Will the experiences you as girls go through, whether good or bad, will that shape how you treat your daughter?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Mm-hmm.
I think, speaking for myself, I think because, at least in my family, it was very strict, I carry the traumas of that.
Okay.
And trauma in the sense, like, it's not bad, but there's a lot of, like, now I have social anxiety because I never used to go out and I can't, like, interact with people, et cetera, et cetera. So I think it's good to have boundaries and be like, okay, you have to come home at this time, right? Like, you can't be just going willy-nilly, right?
Yeah.
It depends on age, obviously. But, like, when you just, like, did I deserve to be yelled at for coming home late from school?
Okay.
Like.
All right. So there's balance to that. All right.
I think it all goes down to establishing a balance of trust.
Okay.
I think that's just something our parents, I don't want to say they don't do. I think their version of trust is different from what we think.
Okay. Do you think this version of trust is only within, because we shifted even from boyfriend to girlfriend, we're talking about parent-child relationship. Like, these are your parents. Right. They love you. They pay school fees for you. They do everything for you. But I'm hearing that there's a trust. They don't trust you to some extent.
Yeah, Ezra. And then let me speak as a parent. Yeah, and that's that I
You're
think
the veteran in this room. Go for it. You might as well destroy the entire conversation.
No, because come on, the experiences that I went through, whether good or bad, with my parents and how I was taught about relationships, sex, dating, and many other things, finances and all that stuff. I think I carried those things to my next relationships, be it if I'm dating, be it if I'm marrying or I'm carrying those things to my next relationship. And I've seen that playing also with my kids, that, my daughter, when she comes and says, oh, there's this boy in class who didn't like me. I'm trying to not be defensive. I'm saying, you know what? I kind of like that. Wait. But then I'm thinking, if I don't tell her what's going on, I'm not preparing her for the future. So it is not a good place to be at.
You hit it.
Right. But I think I'm praying that I get the right answers to give them. So when they say that how the parents and there's the big word trauma has been mentioned, I think it is important for our parents to know how they talk to the young people, because it shapes their sexuality. We're not going to go there, but it shapes their sexuality. It shapes who they bring home and how they treat the people that are interested in them. So it's very important, though. That's why the conversation about parents and dating, it's huge.
You know, it's very interesting that our conversation has shifted to parent-child relationship.
Oh, yeah.
So now
family relationship. There was a question on that.
There was family relationship. Yeah. What role do you think how your family relationship plays out in your boyfriend-girlfriend relationship now?
And before they answer, I think, Ezra, you should try to answer that question yourself first.
Okay.
Right. How has that played in your relationship, and how your parents, how they brought you up? How is that your family relationship, how tight it is, how loose it is, how has that played in when you were dating in your marriage?
Okay.
Yes, sir.
I never had a conversation about dating with my father until when I was mid-20s. And even in that conversation, it was very one directional. I could see my father struggling to have that conversation with me. He called me and said, let's go downstairs. Downstairs? Are we going to fix the basement? But when you got there, it's like it was a relationship. He knew I was in a relationship. He knew the relationship had ended, and he knew as a father he could mold me. He could talk to me about certain things about that, but I could see that he didn't know where to come from and how to frame that conversation.
Yep.
Now that I'm married and I have my wife, I've realized that I struggle with that. I struggle framing those romantic, those, even
direct conversation.
I've never had my father tell me, I love you. They say the day he says that, we'll start planning something serious, right? Because so now you're like, so my wife's like, you don't say I love you. I never grew up saying I love you. Now, I'm not blaming my father for that. I can end that. I need to create that. So clearly, it's not a bad experience. It's also a cultural experience. But it plays out in my current relationship, how I relate with people, how I engage with people. Clearly, it has done that. It has played that role. So,
what about you guys?
I'm done.
Yeah. What about you guys? How has the family relationships and how you relate with the parents,
or even friends at school, wherever it is? How do you see that affecting you, if it has at all?
For me, I think I have a very hard time expressing my emotions. So something I've been into is love languages. So I show my love differently from how others would. Touching is just not really
it's not your love language.
Expressing my emotions verbally is just I don't like it.
What will you consider? Is it acts of service? Is
quality time?
Quality time. So for you, that's it's a quality time. Okay. Cool.
Do you see? Or I'm trying to find a way of asking this question. So, the quality time, is it something that you find that it was lacking, or
is it natural in your home?
Yeah, it's natural.
Okay, it's natural. So that's what you expect, because that's what you've grown in an environment where there's natural time. We finish day, we are at home, we spend time together. So when you're thinking of a relationship, that's what you look. It comes up natural. Okay.
Mine is a little hard because kind of like what you said. My parents, they never interact like that. My parents do tell me they love me. I don't necessarily see them. So for me, I think my love language is like physical touch because I never had that. But then also on the other side, if I have like a crush or something, I like run away. Like, I can't express my feelings to people that I have crushes on. But,
so you don't know how to express yourself. Like you've never seen and been around where you see a healthy way of expressing your emotions, your feeling, and so now you find yourself struggling with those. Okay, cool.
For me, I feel like when I'm in situations, it's hard for me to use my words and like express how I'm feeling, positive and negative. Like let's say somebody did something to me that affected me. I'm not that type of person to go up and like confront them and like have a conversation about that, because I just shut down, keep it to myself, move on past that. And I'll act different around them, but they will not know why. Okay. Because it's just, I keep it in.
Is that something that you've noticed at home? Like even when things are done, you just shut down, you go maybe to your room, close yourself, and you just deal with the issues yourself. Nobody knows what happened, but see, people can say something is wrong, but they cannot tell what it is. You do that. So you carry that to your friends. That's how, if there's something in your relationship, that's how you show up. All right, interesting.
Me, back in the day, I found it very hard to use my words. Like, I wouldn't speak if anything really happened to me. But nowadays, I feel like growing up with my sisters and my mom and my dad, I feel like if anything was to have, like, if I had to speak up for myself or say something, I would. And like, if I had a crush and anything like that, I feel like the place I was raised, I feel like it's going to be easy for me to like speak up and just tell them how I feel.
So you grew up in a home where you can speak up, express yourself, say how you feel, and you find yourself like that. Okay, cool. Anyone else? How do you see your family dynamics relation, how that's playing out in who you are today as a person?
In my household, I feel like I'm the exact opposite of everybody. I'm very, very close with like my aunt, my uncle, my mom. And that transfers to my friendships. I feel like I'm always the one to bring up like if something's off or wrong. And I just express myself. I'm just that kind of person because that's what I grew up on.
Yeah. So I think it's safe to say before yeah, go ahead. Yeah, I think go ahead.
Okay. Well, back in the day, I really used to be the person I'll come and tell you. And if anything is wrong, I'll confront you and say it. But at the moment, after like losing a couple friends, losing my boyfriend, then I just became the person I'll just keep stuff inside instead. And like Billy said, I'll shut down and then I'll just not. Like I got to the point in my life at the moment, I just like to stay in my room. I don't want to go out to interact with people because then I interact with people, I find myself probably.
Are you afraid of developing new relationships because you fear they will end, and that so you don't want it's a safeguard that you're putting there?
Yeah. I don't like to make friends anymore.
Nah. Because you guard from the experiences that you went through.
Right. Wow.
You know, let me bring my brother here, Kenan. You are the experienced one here. What are you hearing? We'll come tapping into your wisdom.
Ezra. No, I mean, what I hear is, and I was about to say, I think you qualified my statement, was that the experiences we see while we're growing up in these relationships that we encounter, even in school, at home, we either go on the extreme. The reverse is true. If someone's experienced quality time at home, when they go into their relationship, they'll go, whatever relationship, doesn't have to be married, they'll go full on it. They'll invest in that because that's what's comfortable for them. But the reverse is true too. Some people that were quality time, you have dinners together, you do this, you do that together. Some people, when they get into their own relationship, when they move out, they go away from it. I can't stand that. I did it too much. So I think that's what I'm hearing. I think, and it's beautiful, Ezra, because they're taking the good things, the good qualities, they invest in them, and some that are not, they're taking that away, and that's a sign of being healthy. So, and again, I want to mention too, someone that mentioned about
before you mention that, because you might switch the gears. Yeah, I'm seeing a mic here
about the good qualities. That is true. Like, of course, not everybody's gonna say they're toxic traits, you know. But if I'm being really honest, I do pick up some of those
toxic.
Yeah, I'm not as toxic as somebody would expect me to be, but I am.
You are toxic. Okay, but everybody has a level of toxicity.
Because silence, like when you go quiet when somebody wrongs you, it's not a good way.
It's not a good way of dealing.
And that's something that I picked up.
Okay.
The toxic.
Yeah. Yep. So we all have a toxic side. We all do have a toxic side. And if we don't realize what that toxic side is, it's going to hurt someone else because you're going to always end up being in a relationship. So there's a need and importance for you guys to see down the process. Kenan, you're going to say something before I start.
No, I was going to say...
Because we have some questions here that I like us to start diving into this.
So it is important to... I always go to mental health, Ezra. I won't shy away. It's always good. I mean, if you get out of a toxic relationship or get out of a family relationship that's hurtful to you, it's always good to talk about it and find a way of coping. Someone mentioned, they pull back, they push back, they stay in their cocoon. They don't feel like going out. Even they're afraid of making new relationships. So I think it's good to find that balance and find a way of coping with that. Because you guys are young, you'll see those experiences. You'll experiences that more. So that's
what you're. I'm just enjoying this conversation so much, guys. I'm really enjoying this conversation because I feel like I don't think there's any family that has it 100%. Let's all establish that, right? We all come from homes. There's always going to be challenges and stuff, but we can learn from each other traits that we can pick up and grow on in that. Sorry, I don't know why I'm all of a sudden having something bothering me. But anyways, I want to turn now. We want to talk about tools. First of all, one thing that I heard from all of you is relationships at home, they shape who you become. If it's quality time at home, that's what you're going to look for in a friend.
Yeah.
If it's expressing yourself at home, that's how you're going to express yourself in a relationship that you go to. So, always try to make your home the place where you can create those healthy relationships as much as you can. Try to create that space, that environment home. So I'm going to switch to this question. You guys asked us this question. I'm going to throw it back to you. Then we'll come back and answer. What do you think is the right age of dating? All right. Go ahead, Mercy.
I think it just depends on the person. I feel like you can't really put an age on it. It really depends on the type of person, like how mature they are or where they are in their life. I mean, not every 16-year-old acts the same, or not every 15-year-old acts the same. So, yeah.
So you don't think there's a right age for that?
Yeah, I think
how young is too young? Because you can expect a toddler to be like, you're mature enough at this age of toddling, so you can date. What is that age that you sit down and say,
Oh, yeah. What have your parents told you?
Or what have you heard?
What
have you learned?
I can't date till after college.
So you can't date until after college. And if you take 6 years in college, the longer it becomes. Right? Okay.
My mom has always told me, put school first, get your degree, get your license, everything. Then that's when you're at a time when you should start dating.
Okay.
I don't 100% agree with that, but
I don't want to get in trouble with your mothers and parents, man. But okay.
Okay, so for me, I once heard someone say this person, a boy, should get in a relationship so the woman can motivate them. And then I was like, what about me?
Wait, say that again. Rephrase. Say that.
Okay, so they were basically saying, this person needs to get in a relationship. Maybe that person will motivate them, to get motivation from a woman, And so I was like, okay, what about me? And they were like, huh? You're too young. Okay.
That's interesting. I mean, again, it comes to the gender issue. Was this person a guy?
Yeah.
So it's also cultural and norms and gender that still comes in there. All right, I'm seeing Mike.
For us, I don't know. For my family, I don't think my mom or my parents have never really spoken of a specific age. Because, I was avoiding the first question when you said if you could take your boyfriend home. But my parents found out about my ex, it was just it wasn't supposed to happen technically. Yeah.
They stumbled on it.
I mean, my birthday and we're taking pictures of my house, he's there, right? And my friends are also there. And then my friend goes, Maureen, aren't you supposed to stand next to your boyfriend or something? And then my parents found out that he was so I don't know. But after that, they were comfortable with him coming over. So my mom, all she told me is don't put 2 feet in it. Just 1 foot. That's it.
Okay. That's speaking in parables that we might have to ask the old man here with white hair to decode all that. I am going to take advantage of that all night long, for this is the only time that I have to call you old. Now, what I'm hearing is that we're not agreeing a synonymous age. We can put an age. I think that's a general consensus. Or Kenan, do you have an age that you think is appropriate?
No, I think it's a period of time. I think what I'm hearing is a period of time, not a specific age.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let me ask a question. When you talk about saying maybe after college, maybe after this, maybe after that, what will make, once you finish college, that be the right time? Is it that now you're educated, now you know anatomy, physiology? What is it? So let's go around and see. Why you think that's
I think when you're in college, it's just hard to balance college and a relationship at the same time. And then you might lose your focus in school and put it into your relationship. And after college, you just have...
You have the time to build a relationship. Okay, so they're saying don't put two competing things, priorities, right? So school versus relationship. Okay. We got a mic here, and then we'll go back there.
I just have a question for that, because I personally know some people who met in 7th grade and are still together. So what does that have to do with school?
It depends. Yeah, some people are able to handle a relationship and be in school at the same time. Because there's high school sweethearts. There's people who've been in a relationship for so long. So I guess it just depends on the person.
All right. Okay.
Are you talking? Okay. I think in college it's like you're no longer like with your parents, you know what I mean? It's like you're trying to build a life for yourself. So it's like now you're trying to get someone to build that life with you. So, my whole thing, I don't know if this is a little off conversation, but my whole thing is our parents like telling us not to get in a relationship till after college. Is how are you supposed to start if you never had that experience? So it's like
that is a smart one.
If you're making they're like,
so once you graduate college,
I don't know how to get a boyfriend.
Where's a boyfriend?
To add to that, I think like I don't know a prime age, but I think there's like growth when it comes to relationships, regardless if it's boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever it is, right? And I think going off of that, like if you never really start, then when you get in relationships and they do something, whatever, you're just gonna be like shocked.
I know, because you've never experienced it before.
Never experienced that. Wow. So I think it's like growing maturity. If that's the correct.
You think people need to start dating early?
I don't know about 16 though. Like, I mean, everyone varies depending on age, and I will not say that there's nothing wrong with dating at 16 or 7th grade, blah blah blah, because people have varying maturity levels and whatever, right?
Yeah.
I just think that like thinking back to when I was 16, like why was I dating? Like
now you're looking back, you're like, what was all that about?
Exactly.
Get the mic.
That's what.
Yeah, I think
you'll tell your kids what?
I'll tell my kids they're okay to date. Okay, I'm not talking about 5th grade, no. But I'll tell them, if you find a man and you like the man and the man likes you, go for it. But you just gotta be ready for heartbreaks. That's the most part of it. Like, and red flags.
Red flags. Okay, we'll come to red flags.
I also think like what Tiffany said, Mercy, you said experiences. Like, I feel like out of a relationship, like let's say you broke up, there's something you've learned through that relationship, so it's beneficial to you also.
Okay. You know, Kenan, what I think we should do. We need parents here by themselves and ask these questions. What do they go through by themselves?
Yeah, I think
we need them here.
Yeah, we will do it.
And then they can sit down and say, why college? Why after college? I can have your...
Actually, make sure my dad dad
make you.
Dad never talks.
Okay. All right. So what I'm hearing is that this is a good safe space for us to have this conversation. And we know, as we said earlier on, not unless the wise man here, the old age wise man here, will have answers for us. That's the problem. He started by introducing himself, and I'm young. So we'll go with that. But
Aren't you guys the same age?
Exactly.
What do you mean same age? You are 2 days older than me. That's not the same age. Anyways,
but anyway, this is rich, Ezra.
This is deep, man.
Rich. I wish we had people talking to us like this.
More like this.
I think we would have a better generation.
Yes.
I'm not saying we are getting worse, but we are getting worse.
Yeah.
But I think this is good. This is good. Your parents are lucky.
Yeah, I know.
The parents are lucky. So 2 things that I've picked up. Well, you get.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Before we
I was gonna say, to add to that, I feel like the only reason why we feel we're wise is because I feel like for a lot of us, or maybe just speaking for myself, a lot of what I think about relationships or friendships or whatever has been shaped by the outside world or my actual interactions, more so than my parents actually telling me anything.
You figured it out yourself.
Absolutely. I've had to figure it out myself,
yes.
which is good, but also bad.
Right.
Now I have to experience bad things because no one taught me, and now I have a lesson learned. When I couldn't have, but if someone would have told me, I would have never gone through that.
I think that's why I'm an advocate for having open relationships with your kids about relationships, so they can have an outlet to
conversation.
Open
conversation.
So they can have an outlet as you yourself can tell them what's right, what's wrong, or else they're gonna go out there and get it.
So have you guys? Do you guys know how at least your parents met? No. You don't have to say the answer. No. You don't have to tell the specific. That's their story to tell. But the question I asked, it's a yes or no. Do you actually know how they met, where they had the first date, how they had all that? Somewhat. Someone.
I don't 100% think it's the truth, but apparently they met in church.
In church,
or like by mutual friends.
You can now. Now let me say this. I mean, where you hang out is where you're likely going to meet the other person. And the reason I'm asking, the essence of that question is to gauge the openness of having this conversation. Yeah. I think my parents met in high school. I think they went to the same school, apparently at some point. I don't know. But you see, so when you have those conversations, it even sets you to say, okay, mom, dad, how did you guys meet? And as that conversation can be able to spiral, you can also pick a few things out of that can be very beneficial and helpful in that. So I know it's always going to be a challenge for the parents. Do your kids know how you met?
They do, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They do.
Okay. I've asked, we've been intentional to tell them that. I think our parents, I don't even know. I think I've heard that maybe my mom went to, so I don't know, they used to pick them up in the market or something. You've heard the story. In the olden days, a girl is sent to the market and they never came. They never come back.
They were married at the market. They never show up back.
And literally, they pick them up like. You are kidnapping. They kidnapped
them to be married. So, but those, anyways, let me not go there. So we're talking about even understanding how your parents met. That's a good space, a good place for us to start having this conversation.
Exactly, it's a conversation starter.
The mistakes that our parents made. All those kind. I told my wife recently. I said, I want to learn about my parents, man. I want to learn about them. And she looked at me and said, how will you start that conversation? Where will it pick up from? It's just like, I'm sitting there, I'm like, man, I'm married, but I'm struggling. And I'm like, I looked at my parents all along and they were all happy. They're all nice. Man, no. And I'm not saying I'm struggling in a bad way, but there are things I'm learning, through that hard way.
And I was like, when a couple of things, I think when we talked about the age, I think you need to figure out what the end goal of your relationship is, right? And when you're 12, you really don't know what that is, right? You haven't figured out.
But Kenan,
right?
Kenan, let me challenge you that. Let me ask you a question.
Right.
If I go, the shade room, man, they have a lot of influence. But if I go online and I'm seeing all of this cute relationship, you know what? I want to get one so I can have this cute thing. But let me go in it and then character development feel, and then I'll know.
No, wait a second. Before we set the bar too low. Let me say this. For me, Ezra Kenan, I think in every single stage of development, there is a relationship that happens there.
Yeah.
How do you teach that generation in that developmental stage what a healthy relationship looks like in that stage?
Yeah.
When you see young kids, toddlers running and all these, you can start teaching them what it means to be a young boy versus a young girl in that stage. That's a relationship. So that young boy can know how to relate with this young girl in that stage. I'm not going to a boy's bathroom and girl's bathroom.
Right.
Okay, so that's the stage. I'm not telling them now kiss, hug.
Right.
No, that's not the stage for me to teach them that.
Yeah, and before
but I'm teaching them relationship.
Yeah. But again, at the
What's wrong with the hug?
I'm not saying okay. I take that statement back.
And here's what I want to just add to what you're saying. That's what I'm saying. The end goal. At 12, you're teaching your child. Okay, it's good to interact. When at 5 or 6, you're telling your child there's play dates. You exchange toys. The end goal for that relationship is you can learn, interact, and be social. Right?
Okay.
You go to the next stage. The next stage at 12 is, you're going to prom or whatever. I don't know where prom you guys go to prom, whatever it is. There's a
End
purpose for that. And then when you get to 25 or age where you can marry, which is at least 25, I'm just gonna put that out there. The end goal for that is to settle down with someone. So you have to have a purpose of what these relationships are.
Okay, let me ask this question. I'm gonna ask this question to Ezekiel specific. Ezekiel, how did you, even for and generally all of you, prom? How did you break that down to your parents? And how did that go?
I didn't go to prom.
You didn't go to prom. For those who went, what did they understand prom was and what goes in? How did you break that conversation there?
I haven't gone yet. I plan on going.
The one you went, photos that one that you homecoming, yeah.
To be honest, my dad, he really didn't know about it. Only my mom did, and she barely knew about it too. I told her the date. I got in trouble afterwards, but it's okay. My brother though, he went to prom and he just walked out. So I think for them, it's like there's some things that you want to try, but they won't let you try. So
but have you educated parents what homecoming is? Have you educated them what prom is? Or is it the time of prom, when it gets to prom, now you want to talk to them about, I'm going to prom?
I tried talking to my mom about it.
But it was during the time of homecoming, right?
Yeah.
Okay, it was because you wanted permission to go for that homecoming. All right.
I think you can never really train, at least in my case, my parents. Like, how are you going to tell them I'm going to a dance that's probably going to be after the Sabbath? There's going to be music that it probably ends at midnight, so I'm gonna come home late. Oh yeah, there's a guy who's gonna take me there, right? Oh, I'm gonna be spending money with my friends at a restaurant. I have to buy expensive clothes. Like, it's just
so okay. Thank you. Let me ask on that. Let me see Brand, and then I'm gonna come to you, Brand. But let me ask. No, I'm asking Tiffany a question. Tiffany, have you sat down ever and literally had a conversation on, in high school, there's usually things like homecoming. Yeah. Just not when, because you're ready to go, because you want to go. Just the culture of high school and how it operates here.
I feel like I would be yelled at, so I just never went that route. And I feel like I've tried maybe once, and it didn't go well, so I learned better.
Okay.
It's kind of with Ezekiel, like, you just know better.
Okay. So I think, Ken, and what I'm hearing here, we gotta also, parents don't understand the culture here.
I mean,
so it's a role not only there for the young people, but us to start talking about what does high school look like here. You know, what are those events that happen there? Yeah. What does those events look like? And then rather than say it's bad, first understand, then we can help build those mechanisms and other stuff.
Because I think it's gonna be easy for our kids. Because we understand that we've grown it.
Hopefully,
yes, right.
For me, I'm still in high school, and those dances like homecomings, days. My mom knows that it's a dance, a school activity. That I'm gonna go have fun with my friends. But prom, I'm planning to go to prom, and I feel like me and my mom, we have a relationship that if I tell her, hey mom, you know, prom's coming up, I have a date, and I'll be going on a date with this girl, she gonna be cool with it, you know. It's a thing that goes both ways. It's like a trust type thing. I don't really know how to say it.
Yep.
This got really easy for him.
It's easy. I feel like it's much easier.
It's much easier for you. Do you think it would have been easier for you?
No, it would have never been the same. First is I'm a girl. So it's a difference. Yeah. And second of all, it just really got easy for him because after my mom has already been through the process of me having a boyfriend, it's way easier for him.
Okay.
My mom knew he had a girlfriend even before I did. So it's just, I don't know. She finds out one way or another. She still finds out.
Yeah. Viewers, listeners, as Vicky takes the mic and Shalice takes the mic here, we want to start wrapping up and bringing this down, and those who are listening, because this is a very good conversation that we cannot finish in one setting, we'll build up on it.
I went to prom. I told my mom. My dad was out of the country, and she told me not to tell him because he'd be mad. So he doesn't know. But I told her I was going to a dance. I didn't say a date. I told her it was a dance at the school. Told her my cousin Laureen, she takes pictures. She's gonna take our pictures. We're gonna be matching. I just told her. I didn't ask her, and she laughed at me. I don't know if she thought it was a joke. I showed her the pictures. She wasn't really. Yeah.
So are they dances or dates? I need to know. Are they dances or dates? Are they dances? You make it clear. Are they dances or dates?
They're both.
They're both. You see. Hey guys, I think that there's a lot of rich content here that we're gathering. There's a lot that we can build on and we can talk about. This part we've just been laying the reality of the ground where we are. I want to say something, Kenan, before we finish here this part of this podcast. To those who are listening and to those who are watching, we don't claim to be experts in this.
No, we're not.
Number one. Number two, we also want to make sure and be very intentional and be very clear in saying that this is an open and safe space for us to have this conversation. We are creating space to create healthy boundaries and learn from one another. So please make sure that you don't leave watching and listening and thinking about so and so because you don't know us yet. You don't know half of who we are at. But it is a journey that these young people are taking to understand that as a human being, you cannot live in a vacuum. You need relationship at home. You need to have friendship. And you go to school and you see all your friends in relationships. And how do you navigate that phase and that stage of life? We'll be seeking to find the next session talk about what are the signs of a healthy relationship. We will be amiss just to talk about these struggles without giving some pointers that can help us. With that,
hold on, Ezra. I haven't done my final.
If I do your final. Today you are very fired up. You even okay, final.
No, I wanted to mention. Someone mentioned about figuring it out themselves.
Closing remarks from them. Then you do the conclusion. Yes, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say about what my mom thought about prom. When I told her, I was like, "Oh yeah, this is a thing." She was like, "Okay, but you have to go with your cousin." I said, "What?" So yeah, that's it.
Oh boy! Shout out to all the moms out there, the fathers out there. We love you, and this is much love. And by the way, parents, we're not. Please don't take anything. We're just having a safe space for young people to speak. So I'm sure you all love your parents, right?
Oh yeah.
This is fun. This is all good. This is a safe space for us to have this conversation. Now you know, parents. Don't hold them accountable. I'll finish up.
No, I just said one thing. Just when someone said figuring it out themselves, it's good to do that. But when you figure these things out, I'm talking to parents too. When you try to figure these things out yourself, you make more mistakes, right? But if someone tells you, and this is for parents, if you talk to your kids, talk to them about, you minimize. They'll make mistakes, but you minimize the mistakes that they'll make. So that's and it goes both ways. We need parents and we need them. So getting the perspective of both is good. So
maybe close.
Yes, make a closing.
Let me make this closing remark to the young people and to all of us. I want to bring this back to the Bible.
Yeah.
In the book of Genesis, chapter 2, as we close, the Bible says the desires of a woman shall be to their husband. Young people, we wanted to know boundaries of healthy relationship. Listen to this. The desires of a woman shall be to their husband. Do you know why the Bible says that? It's because really your first relationship as a young girl you have is going to be shaped by the relationship you have with your father. Now, it's not only you, it's also both father-daughter. What you look for in a man is based on what you liked or did not like in your father, and vice versa. So it is of heavy consequence for us to realize that home is the safest place and space for us to build a future for healthy relationships. That has been our time here at Amazing Truth Podcast. Please like, subscribe, follow us, and be sure to tune in for the next one as these young people take it to the next level. Peace out.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Amazing Truth Podcast. We hope you were blessed as you listened. Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. God bless you, and see you on the next one.